You know, guys, sometimes I wonder if ZeniMax is just out to make things as annoying as humanly possible. When I say that, though, I don't mean like your mother telling you that you play too many video games annoying. I mean you walk downstairs in the dark, the lights are off, the light switch is down at the bottom of the stairs, you go down there, try to turn the lights on, you step on a pile of Legos, you're fucking fumbling around, you trip, you slam your pinky toe into the leg of a table, and then finally, as you're sitting there writhing in pain, you flip open your Nintendo Switch or whatever, and then you find out that your younger cousin deleted your Pokemon save. Kind of annoying. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, others. I hope you guys are all having a great day today, and here is a quick reminder that you are a blessing on this earth, and I love you, and I appreciate you for stopping by today's video. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about Templar. More specifically, though, I want to touch on ranged Templar today, because I know some of you guys know me for that, and I would like to just kind of give you an update on some of those things and how they're being affected here on the PTS. But of course, all of these changes do apply to all Templars, so feel free to use this information as you see fit. So for a long time now, guys, Magicka Templar has been right up there with MagDK in terms of its sheer power and ability in PvP. This is, of course, accentuated even more so in duels, in the 1v1 setting. You can see that the Magicka Templar kit has some incredible firepower on top of amazing fortitude and unparalleled healing, making it very annoying to fight one-on-one, and it gets even more annoying when you start to have multiple of them crawling up your sphincter. Fighting a good Magplar is about as fun as being a small child getting brutalized by a professional MMA fighter. It's not a good time, and unfortunately, it just got even worse. Now, the main change that I want to talk to you guys about today is just one very simple skill that's definitely going to change Templar as a whole pretty dramatically, as well as very likely the open world PvP experience. That's going to make it a lot more annoying because there's already people that are doing this, but now they're just going to be able to do it even better. I'm also going to talk about some other, Templar changes that I feel like all of you Templars should be aware of, but the main thing I want to talk about is, I'm sure some of you might have already guessed it, it is the change to the Templar's Javelin skill. Now this skill has always been pretty okay, pretty good, pretty unique. Recently they changed it, or at least within the past year or so I think, they changed it to make the damage go through resistances, which is nice. It made it hit harder, which was helpful, and it has really great range, it procs the good passives from the Adric Spear line, and you could use it on both classes, so it was a very good skill. Now if you ask me, that's fine. It's just fine. Leave it the way it was, it was good. But if you ask ZeniMax, oh no, they don't think the skill was fine, not at all, actually. So they did what they thought was best to reinforce the roleplay value of the skill based on its name, which is, of course, Piercing Javelin, gotta get that in there, and they made it go through block, pierce through block, as opposed to just piercing through armor, which it still does as well, on top of piercing through block. So yeah, I know that doesn't sound too crazy on the surface, but just beneath the surface, that's where the problems start to arise. But before we go any deeper, guys, just a quick reminder that if you enjoy this content and would like to see more, consider subbing to the channel, and if you left a like, that would mean the world to me. You guys don't even know. Alright guys, so we're just going to go ahead and dive on in here, and I'm going to talk about some of the changes. First and foremost, of course, being the Javelin. I'm going to come over here to this fat boy. We're going to buff up, just so I can show you guys what kind of stats we're working with here. We get up to 6,500 weapon damage pretty easily on this setup that I've got, and it does go higher when I've got my Magma proc. So keep those things in mind. I'm going to go ahead and buff up my spell damage again. And let's take a look at the Javelin real quick. As you can see, it's got a pretty respectable damage tooltip, almost 8k. That's pretty nice, and when you consider the fact that it does go through all resistances, that makes it even nicer. So it hits pretty hard. And on the Magicka variant, it also increases its damage by 2% for every meter that it travels. So that is also very good for its damage, up to 40%, making this hit up to 40% harder. That's going to be, if we do the math, what? I mean, easily like 3k-ish, 3 to 4k up more. So this thing can really snatch some hairlines if you toss it from range, which you're going to want to do anyway, especially if you're playing the ranged Plar. However, some of you guys are going to use it up melee range. That's fine. You guys can do that too. But it hits hard, it goes through resistance, and it goes through block now. Now that sounds... I'm sure some of you guys, the second you hear that it goes through block, that makes you cringe a little bit. And for those of you who don't understand what that means that there's virtually no counterplay. when you start to factor in this skill. I've got some clips that I'll show you here. I'm not gonna like watch them as I talk, so it's probably not gonna match up very well, but in the clip you can see that the guy is holding block. I throw the meteor at him, and then I toss a javelin, and he gets stunned. There's nothing he can do about it, and he takes the full damage of the meteor, the full damage of the javelin, and then I kill him pretty easily. Like, obviously he wasn't trying to stay alive right there. I was just having him hold block to demonstrate how toxic this could be. But this basically, like I said, it gets rid of all counterplay, especially when you consider the fact that you have Purifying Light, which has 0 counterplay. You can have a timed ultimate, such as Ice Comet, and then you have Aurora Javelin, which cannot be blocked. The only thing you can do at this point is dodge roll, but guess what? If you've got a meteor on you, you're going to dodge roll, the meteor is going to stun you, and the Purifying Light can still hit you through your dodge roll. So, basically, having Aurora Javelin slotted means you are going to guarantee that you will land an Ice Comet if you're using it, because they're either going to roll or hold block, and both of those you are going to be able to counter just fine. And then the follow-up damage from the Purifying Light and the Radiant Depression, which cannot be dodge rolled, mind you, and is ranged. It deals ridiculously high damage, and it is a channel. Very, very, very hard to deal with, especially if you're already at low health. You're just going to be able to absolutely steal some souls and remove people from the face of Tamriel. It's not going to be hard. It's going to be very, very annoying, the fact that there's already a bunch of people, mostly the tanks and stuff, the Templar healing tanks. They already use Javelin because it's a fun, annoying stun that they can use on people that are, say, alone. There have been plenty of times where I've been, say, in a tower, fighting a group by myself. I'm jumping up on the outside of the tower, you know, those little bits that protrude a little bit, and then a Templar tank will slap me in the face with a Javelin real quick. I'll fall all the way down to the bottom of the tower and I'll die. Before, I would be able to account for that. I could just hold block if I know there's a Templar there and, you know, move myself while holding block. You can't do that anymore. If you are on a space where you can fall down and die, there's literally nothing you can do, because someone that has Aurora Javelin can just send you sailing off the edge into the Slaughterfish or down to the hard earth below, shattering your spine as you lay there in pain. And it's not a fun experience. Personally, I think this change is way too much. I think it's cool. I've always thought that Templar needed a stun that went through block. They used to have it in the form of luminous shards back in the day, because this skill used to grant Disorient, which I don't think even exists in the game anymore. When it landed, it would stun them through block, but it didn't do a whole lot of damage. I mean, it does some okay damage now, but back then it didn't do very much. And it did not knock you back either. It didn't control your positioning, which I think is one of the big things that makes this even more annoying, is the fact that it controls your positioning, which in the end makes it much more toxic, because, like I said before, they can knock you off of shit, but it also has a more wonky stun to break free from, and it just becomes a lot more of a problem, as opposed to just dropping you down to your knee wherever you're standing. It gets to be real... I've said annoying probably 70 times so far, but like, that's basically it. And then when you think about, say, dueling, you've got a Templar who is laying down the jabs into you. He's already hit you with a Crescent Sweep, and now you are at about 5% HP, and you're just trying to hold block and heal yourself. Well, guess what, buddy? You can't do that. He's going to throw a 7k Javelin at your forehead while you're blocking. It's going to crit on you for a quick 5, 6, 7k through your block and stun you, so if you do manage to get away without dying to the Javelin itself, he's going to either keep jabbing you or beam you, and you're going to die anyway. So, yeah, not anything good to say about this skill. This is going to be a problem. Everyone is going to hate it, except for the people that are using it. They're going to love it. It provides very little counterplay for ranged Templar, either Magicka or Stamina versions, which I do have some ideas for a Stamina range Plar with the bow, but it's just not fun. Let's stop talking about that, though. Let's talk about some of the other small changes that I think are actually pretty fun. So, let's see. Biting jabs. This is a weird change. This is not a good change. I don't think this is a fun change. This one is one of those annoying ones. What this does is it changes the ability to stamina, of course, and they got rid of the crit buff that it gave in favor of major brutality and sorcery. Now that's mildly annoying, because that means all Stamina Templars now, if they want to capitalize on their crit, they are going to have to slot in a crit buff. They don't necessarily have to use a major brutality skill now, like they have before in the past, but they are still going to need to find room on their bar for a crit buff. If they wanted to use something like Rally for a heal, then it's kind of wasted. They do not naturally get that crit, and that's just not fun. I feel like a lot of the fun of a Stamina Templar is having that nice inherent crit chance, not having to worry about it. So that is a change that I'm not too fond of. However, it could be useful, I suppose, on some weirder builds. If you wanted to do, say, something like a dual-wielding bow, you don't have to... Well, actually, with bow, even, you can get major brutality from Venom Arrow now as well. So I do think it's interesting that there are a lot of fun new ways to get your buffs, but the fact they're moving them around and making you like completely rearrange your skill bars for them isn't a lot of fun, and they made puncturing sweeps stay exactly the same. Personally, I think it would have been a better change if they would have just made the brutality and sorcery just apply to both of these skills. That would have been nice, and then have the extra... maybe that would be a little too overloaded, because then they could just keep the crit chance here, and then Templar would get crit and brutality just off of jabs. But I don't know, I think it would have been fine. Free up some bar space, and then you would have the free bar space on the Magplar as well, but even then, you start to get to that point where you're like, well, Templar's already too strong, so I don't know. When it does come to the hybridization changes, though, there are a few things you guys should be aware of when it comes to the Stamina Templar, which isn't really going to exist next patch. It's going to be mostly hybrids or Magicka. They do now have access to very, very potent healing in the form of Honor the Dead, because Honor the Dead is going to be scaling with your fucking weapon damage and spell damage instead of just spell damage. So there you go. You've got Honor the Dead on your Templar, your Stamina Templar now, if you want it. So you can spam it and not die, just like a Magplar can. But the thing about that is, doesn't even matter if it scales off of your weapon damage, because Stamina Templars aren't going to be using weapon damage. I can tell you that right now. Let's go into Dawn's Wrath. You look at this ability here, Illuminate. Casting a Dawn's Wrath ability grants minor sorcery to you and your group for 20 seconds, increasing your spell damage by 20%. This essentially means that when you consider that all sets are currently giving maximum spell damage and weapon damage at the same time concurrently, and the fact that you have all of your abilities scaling off of weapon damage and spell damage, that means now Stamina Templars aren't going to use weapon damage at all. They're just going to stack spell damage, because they're going to be able to get 10% more of it for free just by having their own abilities on. So Stamina Templars, keep in mind that when the patch drops, get rid of all your weapon damage glyphs, get rid of your weapon damage mundus, and pick up spell damage instead, because you're going to get more mileage out of it. And yeah, that's really basically it. There are a few more fun options you can do with the ranged Plar, though, so I would like to talk about that. Now that you've got hybridized skills, something you could totally try on the ranged Plar, both Magicka and Stamina, depending on your weapon setups, is Crushing Weapon, which could pair well with a couple of different burst attacks here. You could say do this and then pop that, and you get the free armor debuff while also having a nice strong hitting attack there. A whole lot of choices. If we buff up again, well, I'm not going to be able to get my... I have Burning Spell Weave on right now, so I know it's kind of weird, but it's just what I thought of. Look at that, 12k. It doesn't cost a whole lot of stamina either, so it's pretty good. You're going to have to figure out the combo timing yourself. Yeah, see, from range you can just do it that way. So you could totally do something like this and get a big combo that way. And that could work on stamina as well. And then of course they can't block your incoming burst. So boom, boom, all that damage is going to be unblockable, and you're just going to be able to absolutely delete people. But I mean, that's really all I wanted to say, guys. I wanted to give you my thoughts on Javelin, and then talk about how I felt about the other Templar changes. Personally, I don't think they are good for Templar's identity. I think they're actually very, very bad for the Templar identity. Because Templars are going to be basically, they're not going to exist. Like, in the grand scheme of things. You could play a Stamina Templar, but you'd be doing yourself a disservice. It would be pointless, it would be useless in comparison to just using a Magicka Templar, because pretty much every Magicka morph in the Templar kit is better. You have access to better heals, better things, and mobility tools, better, just also, everything is better on Magicka, guys. Magicka Templar is better than Stamina Templar. I'm saying it right now. It's 100% fact. Ask Steady Eddie, he'll tell you, and that's it. So you guys tell me what you guys think about these changes down in the comments. Let's have a discussion. Tell me if you guys think I'm wrong. Tell me if there's something that you think I missed, because this one was kind of an unorganized babble because I was trying to get it out. But you guys get the main point I'm trying to make. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of your hair, guys. I love you guys. Have a fantastic day. Kuro out. Mwah.
I could follow you around like talk that needs more. That you wanted me smart.